Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. More specifically, welcome to episode 3 of my Crucible Tips and Tricks series, the series where I'm breaking down everything that you can do to improve your Crucible game and your KD. Now as you can see, we are on the Crucible page right now with the match selection screen, and the reason being is because one of the things that you need to take into consideration when you are playing Crucible and you're trying to do well is you have to ask yourself, what type of Crucible player am I, and what type of Crucible player is each game mode made for? So for example, we're going to go through each one of these here. We have Supremacy. Supremacy is a shotgun-heavy play style. With Supremacy, you're not going to see a whole lot of primary action. You're going to see mainly shotguns, some sidearms, some fusion rifles, people trying to snipe. They'll camp crests and hardscope a crest and wait for somebody to go pick it up and try to snipe them. Very, very, very rarely do you see people using primaries in Supremacy. It's probably the most special heavy game mode in all of Destiny. So that's something to keep in mind. Next up, we have Clash. Now, Clash, in my opinion, is one of the most balanced game modes in all of Destiny. You get a little bit of everything in Clash. You get your shotgunners, you get your fusion rifles, you get your snipers, but you also have a lot of primary action. You see a lot of people using auto rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, depending on the map. It's super balanced. You have a lot of different play styles. You have the campers, the rushers, the ones that are just trying to kill everything, the ones that are just running out and trying to super everything. Clash has a really nice balance. I would recommend Clash being your first game mode. If you're new to Destiny, you're new to the Crucible, maybe you haven't started yet, Clash is a really good one to kind of get your feet wet, because with Clash, it doesn't have to be fast-paced if you don't want it to be. Not the score, so to speak, but what happens with you. You can hang back, you can go slow, there's no objectives to rush to, you can take your time in Clash, and that's why I enjoy it. Next up, we have Control. Now, Control is a little bit more hectic as opposed to Clash, because in Control you do have objectives. So because you have objectives, you're going to have people hard-scoping objectives with snipers, and you're going to have people rushing objectives with shotguns and supers and stuff like that. So with Control, the way that you need to play this is you do want to go for the objectives. You don't just want to sit back and camp, because the objectives actually play a really good part in learning how to properly play Destiny. And what I mean by that is Control, knowing where the control points are, that gives you callouts for maps. Even when you're playing something like Clash, you can say, oh, this guy's got a super, or there's a Stormcaller over at B flag, It's really good to know the callouts. Another really good advantage of playing Control is with Control, the spawns flip quite a bit. If you're in the other enemy spawn, you take their flag, the spawns can flip back and forth. They can flip-flop the entire match. So Control is probably the best game mode for you to learn the spawn points and the callouts of the maps. And that is just really good information to have, guys. It really and truly is. When you know where the enemy is spawning, you already have an advantage. It's really good. So Control is definitely fun. And again, Control, like if you're just getting into Crucible, maybe you're not very good at it, just take your time. You don't have to keep rushing at B flag if the enemy has B. Just take your time. Hang back, get some kills, take a deep breath, and go from there. Next up, we have Rift. Rift is my least favorite game mode in Destiny. I do not like Rift. Rift has a lot of people using a lot of really bad tactics 99% of the time. This is where you're going to see the juggernauts. This is where you're going to see the shoulder charges. This is where you're going to see just infinite wombo combos on the Rift. It's a terrible game mode, guys. It really is. You're going to see a lot of shotguns. You're going to see a lot of melees. Rift is probably the game mode that is easiest to get somebody rage, like just raging inside to the point that their blood is boiling. Rift is a very frustrating game mode. At least for me it is. I don't like it. But if you're going to go into Rift, some things that you need to take away from it are where the rifts spawn. Again, that's like other good callouts. And another thing in Rift is the spawns do not flip. So you know where you're going to spawn each time, sort of, and you know where they're going to spawn each time. So another thing that I absolutely hate about Rift is because the spawns never flip, because it's Rift, you have your spark on either side. It's super easy to spawn camp and get spawn camped in Rift. It's just all around a bad game mode. I don't like it. It's never balanced. It's not fun for me. But for you being a prospective, Crucible player, you need to take a couple of things away from this. Like I said, where the spark is, where your rift is, and it is kind of a good map for you to learn how to play defensively. So with Rift, I would say definitely go slow. Obviously, unless you're the Spark Runner, then try to haul ass. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Rift. Moving on to Skirmish. Now, Skirmish is it's basically Clash, but it's 3v3. So with Skirmish, it kind of gives you what's the word here? More of an intimate feel, because there's fewer people, there's only so many ways that they can flank you, there's only so many paths they can take. So with Skirmish, it's you're going to be much more likely to have some one-on-one engagements, as opposed to something like, say, in Clash, where it might be 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 or just fucking full-on team shot. Skirmish, you're going to have much more one-on-one engagements, but in Skirmish, it's a very shotgun-heavy game mode. So because of that, a lot of people like to use agility builds, run around with shotguns that have lightweight on, and stuff of that nature. So again, Skirmish is one of those that if you want to be successful at it, you want to take your time. Hang back, watch doors, don't run around a lot. You just want to kind of let the game progress by itself. You don't want to force it. You don't want to try to force it. You don't want to try to keep running in there and feeding enemy kills, because chances are they're camping in a room somewhere too. So the next game mode is Rumble. All right, now Rumble is by far the absolute best game mode for you to go in and improve your KD. Rumble, you're going to get everything. You're going to get crazy spawns. You're going to get people spawning on top of you. You're going to be spawned on top of people. You're going to have shotgunners. You're going to have snipers. You're going to have primaries. You're going to have heavies. You're going to have people running around with a fucking sword hilt because they still haven't done their exotic sword quest. You're going to get a little bit of everything in Rumble. And because of that, Rumble it's great for practicing, man. It really and truly is. It teaches you to be super defensive. It teaches you to be on your toes at all times. It teaches you to be constantly looking around and paying attention to what your enemies are doing. You're going to be watching the kill feed to see what kind of weapons that they're going to be using, or what kind of weapons your enemies are using. You're going to be listening a little bit more than you normally would. You're going to be listening for those supers to activate. Like your senses are going to be so heightened in Rumble if you play it enough. It's a great game mode, man. Like, honestly, this is probably my favorite, second to Clash. I do enjoy Clash, but sometimes, man, I will jump in Rumble, and without even realizing it, I will be in the Rumble playlist for like an hour at a time, and that's somebody that doesn't even like Crucible. I cannot stand Crucible, but Rumble is fun. It's addictive, because once you start getting better at it, once you start finishing like third place, second place, and if you get a first place finish in Rumble, like, you feel like you won something. It's really rewarding. I've finished in first place in Rumble maybe 30 times. It's not a whole lot, but about 30 times or so. And those 30 times, like, those are probably my 30 best Crucible matches, because in Rumble, it's not about going like 20-5. Chances are you're going to go like 20-19 if you win. But, because of that, it makes you think. It makes you play defensively. You're always on your toes. You're always thinking, what's going on with my enemies? What's going on with me? Where do I need to be? Where are they going to need to be? Jump into Rumble, guys. Seriously, jump into Rumble. And I would even go as far as to say as Classic Free-For-All right here. You're going to play with some scrubby people in Classic Free-For-All. These guys are not going to be the top-tier players. These are the guys that are going to be doing their first curse quests. These are the guys that are going to be doing their exotic sword quests. Stuff like that. The guys that are boosting with their teammate or with their buddies and stuff like that. I call this the easy kill playlist. You're not going to get a lot of die-hard players in here. It's going to be people goofing around and stuff like that. But for you, it's good practice. So definitely give that a shot. And lastly, we have Elimination. Elimination is kind of a good game mode for you to learn different paths on the different maps, like where people are going to be going, where the sniper alleys are, where the shotgunners are going to run, what type of weapon is going to be used predominantly at a specific map. But all in all, I would say that if you're not going to be running trials constantly, Elimination probably isn't the best game mode for you to practice in, because Elimination, you die and you have to wait to be revived, or you have to wait until the round is over. So you're not getting a whole lot of practice. Like you go like 5 and 5 in Elimination, or if you're really good, you go 10 and 5, you know, or maybe 15 and 5 or something like that. You're not going to get a whole lot of one-on-one engagements in Elimination for you to practice per match. You're going to have like 5 or 6 of them. So I don't recommend this if you're trying to improve your KD, unless you're just super good at Elimination, then by all means, go for it. But the moral of this story, guys, the moral of this video is every single game mode in Destiny brings a different dynamic to the game, and you need to figure out what your dynamic is. You need to say, okay, well, I'm really good at shotgunning, so I should probably play Supremacy. Or you could say, I'm really good at sniping, so maybe I should do Clash. Or you can say, I'm not good at anything, so I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to play some classic free-for-all. And whatever. Or you can say, I have absolutely no idea what I'm good at. So I'm going to jump into Rumble, and I'm going to do one match running a shotgun. I'm going to do one match running a sniper. I'm going to do one match running a sidearm. I'm going to do one match running an auto rifle. You get the idea. Try things out. Try out different weapons. Try out different tactics on each one of these maps. And it's really good to know like what types of weapons are used at each one of these game modes, because that's going to allow you to know how to counter them. Right now, the only really effective counter for shotguns, the only really effective counter for shotguns is a fast-firing fusion rifle. So something like Plan C or a Saladin's Vigil with accelerated coils. Those are the only like solid counters right now for a shotgun, as opposed to a shotgun itself. So, knowing little things like that, it's going to help you out tremendously. But anyway, guys, that's going to bring episode 3 to an end. I'll have episode 4 up sometime in the near future, hopefully next week, maybe the week after that at the latest. But that's going to bring this episode to an end. If you enjoyed it, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you for watching, and take care, guys.